Welcome to the Wieser Podcast, coming to you from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Now here's your host, Jim Wieser.
Jim Wieser, he's been in the game for a very long time. Is a Democratic, the head of the Democratic Party around here, is an elected official. And he makes all his money as a lawyer, doing all sorts of different law stuff. And he knows the game. And I prompted him a while ago to come in and just tell us about what it is that he is, what he's thinking about, specifically about things that are going on in the world and, from a Democratic side. But he also has a personal side. He's just a dude with a daughter. And we have to start today's podcast off with a very personal experience, don't we?
Well, I didn't know we were going to, but I'm happy to.
You don't have a choice.
I don't have
you
a
guys
choice
all
here.
realize that when all these powerful people walk in here, they got nothing. I'm in charge, and that's how it is. You're going to go where I tell you to go.
I know you are, and I know I am.
So, your daughter adopted someone.
Yeah. My daughter, Carly, she's the oldest of the two daughters, and she and her husband, prior to them getting getting married, were granted guardianship of a young boy, about a year old, who had had a pretty tough home life for his first year, and there was a relationship, and it's a long story, but the bottom line is they, with the Children of Department of Family Services, obtained guardianship of the young boy, and have had him. He's now 4. And it's been a long journey through the legal system and the court system. But yesterday we all were in court at 11:30 yesterday morning in juvenile court in Crown Point, and the adoption became official, and he became officially their son. We've all treated him either as a son or a grandson since day one. He's just a wonderful young boy, and it's funny, Jim. We come in here, you and I, and we talk, and just given the fact that I'm a Democrat, and given the fact that I struggle with the current state of affairs politically and governmentally, and so there's a lot of negativity. That just wiped it away. That wiped all the negativity away. It was such a touching experience. The judge was phenomenal, very compassionate, and it was just a great day. It was just a great day, and we had a little celebration afterwards, and it was special. It was very special.
So was it did you go to the courtroom?
We did.
It wasn't Stefaniak, but it was at
correct. It wasn't Tom, or Judge Stefaniak, I better say. It wasn't him. It was Judge. His first name's Jim. His last name I know starts with an H. I caught it. I had never met him before. I introduced myself because I just don't do that kind of work anymore. And he was just wonderful. And it was since they had gained custody of Ambrose, that's his name, prior to getting the adoption, they then got married and then have their own 2-year-old son now. So the two of them are brothers, and they're two typical boys, and they're fun. They're a handful, but they're incredible. And days like that just take your mind away from other things that are occurring in the world that you think are so incredibly important and so critical to our democracy or to our country or to policies or whatever. And it all just melts away. It just melts away for a while, and you get to enjoy with your family a really, really beautiful experience. And it'd be a day that I'll forever remember.
So just as a slight background, my wife's a magistrate also, and has done a number of these, and I have been present for them, and it can be a really strong emotional moment when you were watching that, raising the hand and doing the actual ceremony, and then the moment where the judge says you're now the mom and dad, and you're the son. What was going through your mind?
It's really funny. What was going through my mind is I was looking at Carly, who was our independent daughter. She was from the get-go. She had a mind of where she wanted to go and what she wanted to do, and my son, the oldest, went to Andrean, and we just made the assumption that they'd go to Andrean, and Carly said one day, I want to go to Marian Catholic. She was in 8th grade, and we said, Marian Catholic, and we went over there, and
if you're listening somewhere else, that's in Illinois, and we're in Indiana, so
correct.
It's not a very often that people do, but they do once in a while.
They do, and we went to an open house, and we were just blown away by what a phenomenal institution it was, and what they had available, and what the kind of staff that they had, and the teachers that they had. So she went there, and then her sister followed her there, and as a result of that, she ended up going to Boston University. She said from the get-go, I want to go to school on the East Coast. There was never like it wasn't like a decision or a question, well, you want to look at IU or do you want to look at Notre Dame? No. I want to go out there, and ended up choosing Boston University, and graduated from there, and then went to work in New York, and had a very successful career for however long she was there, maybe 4 or 5 years, something like that. And then one day, just before the pandemic began, she called and said, hey, Dad, I want to let you know I've interviewed with a PR company in Chicago. I said, you did? She said, yeah. And I think I'm going to take the job. I said, well, you like New York. You were enjoying New York. What's that all about? And she said, it's time to come home. Probably it's time to come home. 5 best words I ever heard in my life. And so she came back, and she was also one that said, bless you. She said, I'm not sure I'm really career oriented, but maybe someday I'll get married, but I don't know. And she says, I don't really think I would think about. She didn't say think about it. She said, I don't think I'd have children. She said, I'm not sure about that. I've got to. I don't think so. So this is the daughter who was independent, maybe wasn't going to have children, and not only has her own child, has adopted a child, and it's really cool. And she's got a great career. So
did that overwhelm you in that moment?
Oh God, yeah. I was a basket case.
We don't have any Kleenex out here, but you could have used it just now, dabbing
I could have.
Yeah, I mean that's a strong moment.
It was a powerful. I mean,
especially if it is the independent daughter that you never thought was going to have the kids and have the home and have to manage a home and all that. If she's that career oriented, every once in a while it's just like, hey, you know what? We're going to pivot here.
Yep.
And it sounds like Carly did that.
She did.
And the weirdest part is, in a weird way, I was interviewing you one time as the head of the Lake County Council, and I don't know what year she would have been born, but it was in the 80s. I believe it was Carly that was born.
No, that was my daughter who passed away.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
That's
I did
okay.
not know that. All right. So it was. I had interviewed you right after that moment, and you were the guy who came straight from the hospital to do the meeting. And yes.
Yep.
You want to talk about that?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. No.
You've got a lot in your life that I think
I couldn't
make it
through that one. No.
And yes, I kind of know some of the backstory there, so we'll move on from that.
Okay.
But most of this is about politics that we talk about, but it is called the Wieser podcast,
right?
And I wouldn't say I manipulated you into it, but I certainly know that there is plenty of Democratic theory and politics that I would like you to bring out. But I think it does make it real to people that you're just a man, with a family, and you're just a region guy. And I forget that sometimes until I see you with all your buddies from Bishop Knoll, this ridiculous, you guys still get together and go to a basketball game.
We do.
And so that would have, how does that happen? How do these guys still stay together?
it's hard to explain. The only way I can explain it is that, and no disrespect, because I'm a strong believer in the public school system. Strong. My wife taught at Munster High for 23 years. Strong believer in it. But it seems that when you go to a smaller, kind of a parochial school with kind of somewhat similar backgrounds, or you just seem to forge a bond. It didn't just happen to me at Knoll. It happened to me when I went to John Carroll. It's the same way. Jackie always marvels at the four of us that live around here, or somewhat near here, from John Carroll, that golf together every year, get together, never miss any special event that one or the others have. And one lives in Bolingbrook, one lives way up in Huntley, and the other now lives in Michigan, but not that far away. And we all get together, as together with other friends. It's a bond that forges that it's inexplicable. And you've seen what happens with those guys. We're all together. We all graduated many moons ago from Knoll, and it's just how you bond with each other. It's hard to explain, but it's and I've noticed that it's in the smaller schools, the parochial schools, that seems to happen more often than elsewhere, than in public schools, that we all get together and have. We just had our class reunion, another class reunion. And everybody shows up, and they'll come in. We had folks in from California, from Michigan, from Florida, Arizona, and they show up every time.
As a matter of fact, the high school that he's talking about, Bishop Knoll Institute, BNI, is kind of on a high note right now.
Yeah.
And part of that actually has to do with politics, and that you're now able to take the money that you was going to go to your public school district where you live, and then you're able to take that to your Catholic school. So in all irony, your Catholic school, where my wife went also, and knocked down a portion of the school, and now they basically are at max capacity and don't have that extra wing of the school, partly because of that. I forget what the actual name of it is, but they're able to carry the money, I don't know, $7,500, $8,000, whatever it might be, to Bishop Knoll to pay for most of the tuition.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm not sure I know what it's the actual title of the program, but it's a voucher program. They
program.
Call it
That's what
vouchers.
it is. Yes.
And it puts me in an interesting position, because I have my principals tell me that shouldn't happen. There's a divide between church and state, and I don't call it a separation, because that's not used in the Constitution, but I just feel that for several reasons, it's just simply not appropriate use of taxpayers' dollars. But it is the program, and I think my main objection to the program now is that they've eliminated the income requirement. It used to be that you had to show some demonstration of legitimacy in terms of income and why you would need that assistance, and that's, you can make $30,000 a year or $3 million a year, and you're entitled to the voucher. I struggle with that, but on the other hand, it benefits my alma mater. It benefits my Paul Mullaney, who I'm related to through marriage, and who's done a marvelous, remarkable job at that institution. So, those are the kind of things.
So you might be a little more quieter on that than you might normally am. I was going to say, as soon as you start ripping on that, sitting in your chair right now, recently, we had a guy named Micah Beckwith. And people that are listening to this might not pick up that name, but I think over time they are going to. He is the lieutenant governor of the state of Indiana. And the governor is Governor Braun. Did not want this guy. He wanted somebody else.
Right.
And then, but from the floor of the Republican convention, they nominated him, and then he became the running mate. And
Correct.
He's a pastor by trade, and says some kind of controversial stuff, and is certainly getting beat up pretty heavily by the Indy Star. But he sat right here, and he was very personable guy, and he's a golfer, and I'm a golfer, and I didn't interview him, somebody else did, but he hung out, and I was out in the office, and I'm like, man, this guy is, he's not at all what I pictured from reading all of the stories that are written about him as being basically kind of a Christian nationalist, or trying to bring religion into the everyday life of government, which really changes things. And honestly, I think that's what is endearing him to much of Indiana right now, and he's really kind of growing a following on that, what you're talking about, separating church and state. Sometimes guys like, hey, you know what, God needs to come everywhere I go, and if that's government, that's where it is. And I think that separation is kind of losing its prominence, especially here in Indiana. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. I totally agree. I've not had the occasion to meet the lieutenant governor. I recognize that he has some personal attributes that appear to work in his favor.
Yeah, I think I might play golf with the guy.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about his politics, but anyways, go ahead.
And I get that, but that's what a lot of people say that like our Secretary of Defense, whatever his last name is, Pete Hegwish. I can never say it.
Hugseth or whatever.
No, Hegwish, or not Hegwish, because that's like
you know
city,
what? I just know it is.
Hegwish.
Yeah, but anyways, go ahead.
He's had a pretty checkered background. I'm not saying the lieutenant governor has. I don't think he has. He's just been a very right, what I consider someone to the far right, and a Christian nationalist. And I think he's proud of it, and I think he proclaims it, the lieutenant governor. But take a guy like the Secretary of Defense, who reposted I can't remember what it was, if it was what do they call it?
Hegseth, that's what it is. Yeah, Pete Hegseth. Yeah.
Pete Hegseth. So, and he reposts a statement from his pastor, his personal pastor, who is a white Christian nationalist, who's and it says right in there, who questions why and who challenges why women should have the right to vote. I mean, I don't know where we're going with this, but I'm super concerned. As you know, probably know, the president established a commission to study this issue with what is clearly going to be a pretty predictable outcome, about church and state, the separation of church and state. Of course, the First Amendment says no state may abridge the freedom of religion. That's the term that's used. It's a term I'm sure was used back in the 18th century that's probably not used very often now, but yeah, it means to either limit or interfere with their religion. And my concern is that we're moving towards, hey, we want to have a national religion, like the Anglican religion in England. We want to have a national religion, and we want that religion to be, and we believe we're a Christian nation, and it should be white Christian nationalists. And I'm super concerned that people in high governmental positions, both like the lieutenant governor and the Secretary of Defense, clearly, no matter what else they say, it's clear that when they get down to brass tacks, that's where they're really coming from. And I think that's I think the uniqueness of one of the uniquenesses and the neat things about our country and our government is that we are so open to respecting everybody's religious preference, no matter what it be, and that it shouldn't be involved with the government. It doesn't have a place in government. It has its place in your private life, in your personal life, whatever that might be. I have great concerns about that being just sort of washed away, and that someday we're all going to be expected to be white Christian nationalists. That doesn't sit well with me, and I don't think should sit well with anybody who believes in how our country was founded, because it was founded partly on religious suppression and the lack of religious freedom. Whether it was the Puritans that came over, or the Quakers that came over, whatever that might be. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. Maybe the lieutenant governor is a personable guy. I guess he probably is. I think he's learned some things about how to govern versus how to campaign. But I don't think that changes his basic personality.
All right. So let me ask you this: from the Democratic side, a lot of these, maybe, at times, semi-fascist policies are coming on the Republican side, and they are gaining traction. Mm-hmm. And they are part of the, Trump was able to put out a certain message that I think that your party did not think would resonate. And then it has completely resonated with people, and he has a really strong base, and he's still in power. Here in Indiana, it's a super majority, and in Texas, there's a lot of places where the Trump brand of nationalism, maybe not Christian nationalism so much, but nationalism really resonates with people. Why?
It's a great question. I have had discussions, not, I don't think rise to the level of debates, but discussions with folks, including a family member or two, about that issue. And my concern is people will talk about, and President Lincoln said it, we have to believe in our better angels. I don't think that motivates most of the constituency. Certainly doesn't motivate that constituency. And I think that alleged showing of strength and power, and by adopting fascist type platforms or fascist type theories, resonates with people. Resonates because, I hate to say it, people don't necessarily act with their better angels. I think they act with the other angels, the dark side, and that it's initially more attractive to them because it looks like you're asserting power, and you're taking care of things that they can't take care of themselves. You're taking care of whatever it might be, the border in the South. You're taking care of crime in Washington D.C. And you notice that the only cities for Trump that have crime are cities that are run by Democratic mayors. They're the only ones. He's forgetting about Memphis, which has per capita the highest crime rate in the United States. He didn't care about that. It sells because especially sells to, and where I think where Trump really scored, I hate to admit it, but where he really scored was with younger white males who that's attractive to, and especially those that maybe are on the lower strata of the sociological network, and that's why it works, and that's how he makes it work. And you govern through fear, and and you govern through some very selective issues, and our president is skilled at that. You take those issues that you know are going to resonate, and I agree with you. Our party was way late to the table to react to that. And the one example I'll take, aside from, let's say the crime in Washington, D.C. or in Chicago or whatever the allegation is now, I think, and I said this from the beginning, I'm a strong believer in personal rights, but when it got to the athletics and males performing in female, typically female athletic events, that you had to stay away with that with a 10-foot pole, and you could not, in my opinion. I think there's sometimes you just have to draw the line in the sand, no matter how liberal you might be or how much you believe in all these rights of different organizations and different folks who are different in a certain way to the majority of the population, and say, hey, enough is enough, and we've got to kind of think this through as Democrats and say, I would never go to the direction that he goes. I'd never go that far, because it's all made up. I mean, where does it stop? It's going to be the crime in Washington, D.C. one day. It's going to be getting rid of everybody at the Kennedy Center and becoming the leader of the Kennedy Center and determining what is going to be our culture now and why it's going to be our culture and what are going to get awards. And it sure isn't going to be people that are artistic or people that are from the LGBTQ community or anything like that. It's scary. It's scary. It smacks so much of autocracy that we've seen in the past and that we still see currently, whether it's in Hungary or whether it's in Venezuela or whether it's in whatever country, Turkey. We're not going in that sense. We're just going the wrong way.
Let's leave it right there.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up again. This is the Wieser podcast. You can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Jim Wieser, just a guy who's been around a lot of different places and a lot of different things, and I have prompted him to tell us about some of those things, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. I would like to pick that up about autocracy and all that next time we sit down. Jim, thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Until next time, see you later.
Take care, everyone.